Thanks for checking out Chamber Web TV. This is Cambridge Votes 2014, a conversation with candidates for the upcoming October 27th municipal election. I'm Greg DeRocher, President and CEO of the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce, and it's my pleasure to sit down with Joseph Gowing, candidate for Ward 3. Joe, we've been here before.
We have.
Lots of times, actually.
Absolutely, yeah.
You were a trustee.
Yes.
At one time, and then you've run in ward races before.
Correct, yeah.
So you're not necessarily a rookie when it comes to local politics.
Exactly, yeah.
Joe, maybe the first really important question that people would like to know is, why are you running?
Okay, well, basically why I'm running is I want to do something for my community. I've been in Preston my whole life. I know the ins and outs of it, know where to go when I need something.
You know all the back alleys?
Yeah, exactly. But most of all, I want to make changes. There's a lot of things that need to be changed and a lot of things that haven't been focused on from the city itself in the Preston core, and I want to make sure that we get our share.
Great. What do you see as the biggest issue facing Cambridge and every other municipality in the province today?
Taxes. Everybody complains about the taxes. Fees for transit. We're approaching the dollar amount of Toronto transit based on fares. I believe we're almost at the $3 mark now. But we don't have the same service. So that's a huge concern, especially within the region itself, but specifically Cambridge.
Mm-hmm. What do you see as the biggest issue facing Ward 3? Which is really, maybe I should tell everybody where Ward 3 is. Ward 3 is really kind of the old Preston area, basically, of Cambridge.
Well, there's a lot of, the infrastructure's not there. For instance, we look at the Speedsville Bridge is out, and now everybody has to go through Eagle Street down into the King Street, and you're stuck there for 45 minutes. Beautiful view, Riverside Park right there, but
I've always said if you have an accident on the 401 in Preston,
it just gets jammed.
This end of town, right along that corridor, and of course Preston is right along that corridor. It's just terrible.
Absolutely. So, but also looking at shops that people try to open up, restaurants or anything like that, and they're open for 1 month and close the next. You constantly see for rent or for lease signs in the shops downtown. Want to get something in there, even a major restaurant in there. Like if you go into Woodstock, for instance, you have a Krabby Joe's downtown. Just to bring something into the downtown that will get people down and get people shopping again.
Frankly, the Cambridge Chamber of Commerce is looking for people who have some big, bold ideas to lead our community over the next 4 years and beyond. What's the big, bold idea that you would like to see happen if you're elected?
I'd definitely say that. Bring people downtown. Get in the major businesses. Get them away from the Hesper Road area. Get them to branch out. If we can get a major franchise even into the 3 core areas. I know Hesper struggles with the same thing. Just getting something into that core area.
I think all the cores do. I mean,
Absolutely.
Does it maybe lend itself to a problem with parking or accessibility? But I've never had a problem parking in downtown Preston.
Right.
Or downtown Galt, or in Hesper maybe is an anomaly, but I can honestly say I've never really, other than I'm either restricted for 2 hours of parking, or I've got to pay it a lot or something like that. And I think is there something with parking that's maybe an issue?
I would say so. Looking at, there's dead space where the 7-Eleven was, even if we can get a parking structure put in there, because I know that is a huge issue when it comes to bringing people in, because once you get the people in, where are they going to park? So it's more of getting the people downtown, or even just working on the transit system itself to work within that, the parking issues.
I had the opportunity at a chamber event to go to a meeting in Burlington, Vermont. Burlington, Vermont has 35,000 people. It's not a very big community.
Right.
However, it is the largest city in the state of Vermont, which is odd. But a lot of people I tell, they can't believe that. But the biggest city in Vermont is 35,000 people. Wow. However, they have a really neat downtown area, and what I think they've done to try and combat some of that is they put independent of the buildings, they put these these structures all along the street. Not the whole street, but they're like plexiglass roofs.
Oh,
where,
okay.
Even if it's drizzling or something like that, you can walk in
Right.
them. And I've often thought that some of the difficulties in attracting people to a downtown core is not necessarily the businesses, because
Right.
the businesses are attractive.
Right.
They're nice little cute stores generally. However, it's just that shopping experience. When you go to a mall, you can park in a parking lot for free.
Correct. Yeah.
Once you're inside, you've got 85 stores under one roof, and it's kind of convenient shopping. So, are things like that the things you'd like to look at for downtown?
Yeah,
Or
absolutely.
uptown
Something
Preston?
uptown Preston, downtown Preston.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely something that will attract people, and convenience is a big thing.
Mhm.
And if it's not convenient, people aren't going to do it.
Yeah.
One of the things that people are looking at is that, and I've been actually going to different communities. Like I've been to Woodstock to see what they're doing for their downtown. I've been to the smaller communities just because of looking at Preston as a smaller community.
Mm-hmm.
I know we're all one Cambridge, but I'm specifically focusing on Ward 3. And there's different things that people do. Awnings are definitely a big thing. Parking is another issue. So something that we can look at for instance, Vermont when you're there. Something like that to get downtown and get people shopping and get people down there.
I've often thought it would be a really good idea for those of us who are interested in economic growth and prosperity in our community to go and look at some successful downtowns,
Right.
and tour them around, and bring the brightest and best ideas and try and implement.
And that's what I'm trying to do is get myself out there and go to the different cities. Like for the transit system itself, I've been on the subway in Toronto for the last 3 months for work and things like that. So I'm definitely getting out and looking at different communities to see what we can bring into the city.
As you probably know, the Chamber was opposed to the LRT for a number of reasons, and I always like to use this to keep sticking my jab in. But
Exactly.
but more particularly, that Cambridge had to pay its share of the LRT and probably not get it. However, that battle is over, and it is what it is. We're getting the LRT in the region. We're getting ABRT here in Cambridge. But maybe there's hope that we could get the LRT sooner. It takes a little bit of heavy lifting, likely, and probably some out-of-the-box thinking, but we need to build a strong case for the need, and that's
Right.
the only thing that's going to drive it. How would you propose moving forward in the best interest of the community to drive that need?
Definitely, like I said, looking at it's heavy lifting, so I'm not a small guy, so I'm not
Yeah.
afraid of that. But definitely going out to the other communities and finding out what they've done. Working with the provincial partners and the federal partners. That's key, because if we have the ideas, we need the funds to back it.
It's an expensive project.
Absolutely, absolutely. So,
But public transportation, as you well know, because you were a school board trustee,
Right.
you know what the transportation costs are from
Correct.
that perspective, and public transportation is just very expensive.
Absolutely, absolutely. So definitely trying to keep the costs to where they're at, and I just like to feel the dreams. If you build it, they will come. And that's where I'm at. Is we need to get something in place, not wait for the ridership. We need to show the ridership that we have the means to do so, and then they will come.
Very good. Much has been said about GO service. Kitchener has limited one-way service right now, but there's been a commitment by the province, and more importantly, from the premier of the province, that says two-way all day is coming to Kitchener. Cambridge has made a really good case, I thought, over the last number of years, but
Right.
we've never, in fact, somebody said over the last 20 years, I think it's closer to the last 30
Yeah.
years. Certainly, I've heard about it for at least that long. It's substantially lower cost to do it from Cambridge. There's no question about it. I think much more opportunity because people from Kitchener and Waterloo would drive to Cambridge to jump on GO. However, we'll have to see whether Cambridge wins that battle to
Yeah.
get connected or not. If we had GO service to Cambridge, what benefits do you feel this might have on Cambridge? Or if you oppose this initiative, what would be your argument against it?
I definitely don't oppose it. The reason for it is if you drive down the 401, every GO station basically is on the 401, and it follows that. Look at how many commuters we have in Cambridge itself. People will drive to where it goes, but it should tie into our LRT
Do
system.
you think, though, that the real problem Cambridge has had is trying to justify that one-way service as opposed to that two-way all-day service?
I think that's it. And like I said, again, if you build it, they will come. And the two-way service, if you look at the Kitchener ridership, what is that at?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's that much.
No, the one-way service, I think, is they anticipated thousands, and I think they have 100 and change.
Yeah, and I know that people are driving themselves to Milton to catch the train still, because you can catch it at different times of the day.
Well, I've often said from my perspective, I oftentimes have to go to downtown Toronto for meetings. And it might be convenient for me because the Ontario Chamber of Commerce, for example, where I go, or Queen's Park where I go, is fairly close to
Right.
Union Station.
Right.
You know, but not having that ability to come back when I need to come back
You
is
have to wait till
is a bit
7
of a
at night,
challenge,
sort
yeah.
of thing, yeah. And then that's exactly it. Like, you can get yourself as far as Milton on the GO station when you want to come back. And then where do you go from there?
Yeah.
Unless that's why people are driving and parking at Milton.
You got to fight your way out of the parking lot
Yeah,
first.
exactly. So I think that ties into our LRT. If we can get the connection to the GO station in a specific area in Cambridge, wherever that would be, it would bring people from the Waterloo-Kitchener area. I don't think it's convenient to go to Victoria Street to get onto the GO.
Have you ever tried it? Have you ever used it?
I have, yeah, and it's not convenient at all. The parking's not there. I know they're working on that.
It's over 2 hours, I think.
Yeah, and people don't get to work on time. If you start in Toronto at 9 a.m., the GO leaves here at 7, I believe it is,
Yeah.
or something along that.
You can't get to work.
You can't get to work on time. So it's not convenient at all.
Yeah. Well, that's a big challenge. And brighter minds than mine will have to figure out how it works. But so, Joe, where do you see Cambridge in 25 years from your perspective? I know it's important to you because you have a young family.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
where's Cambridge going to be in 25 years?
Prosperous, absolutely, and I want to see that, and I want to see us develop in a way that we can move forward, not move backwards, or even stay still. We can't do that. I know you're going to mention a couple things later on that is bringing us that much forward into the future. So I think I see Cambridge definitely growing. We're constantly growing on a daily basis, and we need to be able to match the people coming in.
I always say we're the center of the universe.
Absolutely.
We're right here in the 401.
That's right.
Days drive from the wealthiest population in the world.
That's
You
right.
know, you can't beat. You know, what's the old saying that the real estate agents used to say? You know, location, location, location.
Exactly.
If you want to have a
We are
business,
definitely it.
this would be the place to be.
Absolutely. Even living. Look at how many commuters we have.
Yeah.
People working in Oakville and things like that. Living in Cambridge. Cambridge is going to definitely keep growing,
Yeah.
and we have to be able to sustain that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Now, speaking of the future, I actually brought this up many years ago when I was on council. That we could do online voting. You know, the whole mantra about politicians is, politicians say we want to get voter engagement, and you know we've got the internet's 25 years old. It's the 21st century. I should be able to vote in my pajamas.
Exactly.
We seem to be the most progressive
You
municipality.
can shop in them, why not,
yes,
right?
we seem to be the most progressive municipality in the region of Waterloo because we're the only one that's doing online voting and telephone voting. What do you think of this?
Absolutely agree. And it will definitely, I hope that it will raise the percentage of it, because people need to vote. People need to have their say, whatever's convenient. If they can make it work with online, absolutely.
Are you worried about all these things that people say, oh, there's going to be voter fraud and all that kind of stuff?
You can do your taxes online. You can do your banking online. You can do your shopping online. You should be able to vote online.
Yeah, I've actually promised everybody that I'm going to take a picture of me in my pajamas voting, and I'm going to post it on Facebook. So you're a friend of mine on Facebook, so you're going to see me voting in my pajamas.
All right, sounds good.
This has been great. Joe, is there any last or final words that you would like to direct straight to your voters in Ward 3?
Absolutely. I will definitely do my best to represent you on council, and definitely with the province and the federal government. I have a young perspective, and I think if you look at the history of the Cambridge votes, it's always been the higher generation that has been elected. But I think it's time for a change, and I think it's time for the younger generation to come in and give our new ideas.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's been Joseph Gowing. He's running for councillor in Ward 3. Thanks again for checking out Chamber Web TV and Cambridge Votes 2014. Candidates conversing with the Chamber of Commerce, answering some questions. Hopefully you got some answers that you wanted to get out of Joseph Gowing. Joe, good luck.
Thanks, Greg.